Hi, my name's Jamie Loper. Today we're going to be interviewing my father, Edward Loper Jr. We have here Brandywine Mills, also known as Doeskin Mills, which is the center of this exhibition, this Journey of Perspective exhibition. It's a painting I've been looking at my entire life, and it allows me to understand, translate, and appreciate my father's work. Dad, what made you pick this particular subject?
What made me do it? Okay. It was fall. There weren't any leaves on the trees. And I just saw a bunch of lines and squares. And I just stood there and looked at it a long while. It was in a valley and hardly any sky. And back then, I would just jump in the car and drive to areas, and if I saw something nice like this, I would paint it. And I don't remember why I did it, but this was the first time I did this. And then I went back 3 years, every January, I'd go back and do another one of them from the same scene.
And I've seen a couple of variations of those, and they're all beautiful.
Yeah.
This particular one, again, I've been looking at this my entire life, Dad.
Yeah.
And even now, in this light, I see new colors and shapes that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
We're talking about almost 50 years of me looking now. So, I mean, it's just incredible. Do you see all those shapes and all of those colors? I mean, it's absolutely amazing.
I know how to make you look.
You sure do.
Yeah.
You sure do.
And it worked because the first time I had it in a show, the show was, I think, in Washington. It was a all-black show, all of major painters. And they actually found my painting and put it in the book. Now, there's 1,000 other painters,
right,
but why is my painting in that book?
Why not?
I'm this kid from over 11th Street Bridge. Nobody knows.
Right, sure.
And they stuck my painting in there.
Yeah. And I've heard you tell this story before, and
So
it's almost like you
that's
can't believe it.
So what? If you're good, you're good. People know.
Yeah.
So don't act cute, you know.
The Card Game, 2021. Pretty new painting for you, Dad. This thing is absolutely incredible. I watched this painting come together like I have many others. The most important thing you need to understand about this painting is that my father did this from a memory he had as a 9th grader. So it's been a while since he's been in 9th grade, but the story behind this is incredible. Dad, can you share a little bit of that story with us?
I wasn't just witnessing it. Every time they shuffled those cards, they shoved a dime over and it went into the pot for the house. And I was working in this pool room. I didn't get paid to work there. The thing was owned by my father. And this was my after-school job. All right.
And who are these characters? Did you know them?
Yeah, okay. I used different characters, though, because in the pool room, if you're watching a guy's face, you know, and their eyes are shifting back and forth, and all of them have wrinkles because they're a bunch of old guys. And the what his hands dropping down, I could see that. I could see the cards on the table. And I built this from that game there. But at the Union Hall, I used some of the guys from there. I used some of them, like Alan Jones, the one with the little hat there.
Mhm.
And I stuck him in there. But different people, I ran them all the way around, and I made a curve of it so everything is like framed.
Yeah.
And see, you come down here with this line and the light coming over here to there, and then it goes right back up the other side. So that's a bowl.
Yeah.
But that's
Gives
a
you such
different kind.
focus. Yeah.
Instead of a perspective looking this way,
Mhm. Mhm.
you're looking down in a bowl.
Yeah.
But the bowl is turned up this way.
I see.
And that's the way I build it.
I remember when you were near completion of this, you were talking about it looking like stained glass.
Yeah.
And again, in this light,
Yeah.
it really takes on a stained glass look,
Yeah.
a fractured stained glass.
And-
All of
and-
these different facets and shapes.
Yeah. And I was taken by stained glass when I was a little boy.
Mhm.
The first time I saw stained glass in a church. All right. And to hold you into these things, I use black lines. All right. But that goes back to something that happened in the 7th grade.
Sure.
Somebody said, if you use black lines, you don't know what you're doing.
Mm.
All right. And there was a story behind that,
Sure.
but I'm not going to tell that one. Anyway, but once I got started, I couldn't stop, you know. And to make you look at that area, I put pieces, all right, and the lines, instead of flowing from one to the other, there's that border. You come up to that border, and it holds you there. All of these paintings that I'm looking at have that line.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm still doing it.
Well, that's what's so great about this exhibition, Dad. Is
Yeah.
we have things in here that are 50
Yeah.
plus years old, as to works that are
Yeah.
recently just dried. But to see how your work has changed and to
Yeah.
see how your perspective, especially your memory for a scene like this, that's so incredible.
And I got all the art books in the world,
Mhm.
all the famous painters. Have been Barnes
Mhm.
and seen the great painters there.
Mhm.
And then I look at mine, and
What do you think?
I learned a whole lot
Sure.
from when just a little boy like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know anybody. Dad was starting to do it,
Mhm.
but then
Yeah.
he switched to other things.
Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled that this painting is in this exhibition.
Yeah.
It's a key piece, and I know everyone will love it. And I'm glad that it's a nod to your memory, the
Yeah.
history of the pool room, and your talents in
Yeah.
capturing those characters in that moment.
Yeah. I remember things that happened before the war,
Mhm.
the Second World War.
Mhm.
So, and all you have to do is mention it, and I can tell you about it.
Sure.
All right. I don't know why, but I can. And it's not. I don't have a computer.
Right.
you
It's
know.
memory.
Yeah.
Bird's eye view, another mind-blowing perspective that is in this journey of perspective. This is a drawing that my father did, but what are we, 300 feet in the air, Dad? 300 feet in the air looking down at your neighborhood? Tell us how you did this. And,
Oh.
these drawings and paintings appear sometime with very little explanation, and this is another image that I've looked at, and I cannot wrap my mind around the detail and precision at which you put this together. Please share.
Well, this is an area where I lived when I was a kid, right along in here on Hill Street. Hill Street's running this way. All right, so it's a straight street coming through. It goes out to where Governor Brent's comes this way. There's a bridge down here.
Mhm.
The Brandywine comes up here, and it curved and went down this way, going out this way. All right. Up along in this area, there's Railroad Avenue. All right. Brandywine Street, not Brandywine. Claymont Street runs that way. I lined these up. Each house, I knew how many houses were in that block. All right. So I worked my way from one to the other, coming down 12th Street. All right. And it only went so far coming down here. 12th Street comes down and crosses 11th Street Bridge. 11th Street over here is over here. All right. So that's right there, going that way.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And each one of them I lined up was right on the button,
Mm-hmm.
because I could count the amount of houses where one street crossed the other, and I knew out that way you could stand on 12th Street back then and look, and you could see that railroad bridge. But when you were there, you could look straight out into the marsh and to the Delaware
All
River,
the way
and you
out.
could see
Yeah.
the ships go by.
Yeah.
Now, and I knew that once you got at a certain area down here, you had to go across that side of the street to see that there. So I used yardstick, and I just bent the yardstick a little bit and said, oh, and it lined up with the firehouse. The firehouse is on the corner, and it's going that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Firehouse.
yeah.
Yeah.
And every one of them lined up. So, and
Obviously, you know this area very well. You've told me so many stories from this part of town. But how's this perspective? I mean, we have checked every one of these people in the houses. You remember the families. You
Yeah.
remember how many kids were in the families. How do you remember that?
I don't know. But the first time I started with perspective was we got a television.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mhm.
The television was only this long. It looked like the bottom of a bottle was all right.
Mhm.
You only got 3 channels. You had an aerial on the roof. All right. Now, the aerial was in a mass of triangles. All right. And the aerial was coming up out of there.
Mm-hmm.
And to get a Phillies game, my father told me I had to climb out the window
Mm-hmm.
onto the roof
Mm-hmm.
and up the aerial and turn that aerial while they checked the television, and you could get the Phillies game.
I know this.
You
man,
only
I
had
believe
3
that's
channels.
true.
Well, while I'm up there,
Mm-hmm.
I look down, looking that way, and I could see Grandma Fleeks's roof.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Aunt Nancy's roof across the street on an angle.
Mhm.
All right. Now, streets from up there, if you're looking down, they go that way going east because it gets smaller going east.
Mhm.
All right. Up there, Cage Street runs this way. All right. And I'm lining them up. Over there, there's some gardens. The firehouse is over there. I can see from this aerial, I can see boats on the Delaware River. All right.
So that trip up to the roof changed everything.
Yeah.
Gave you that,
All right.
that perspective, yeah.
Now,
Mm.
I didn't tell Dad,
Mm-hmm.
but I went back up there maybe 3 or 4 times. All right.
Mhm.
With a yardstick. That way, from my bedroom window
Mm-hmm.
looking west,
Okay.
I could see 12th Street. Now 12th Street is right down in this area
Mm-hmm.
because it runs through the bridge.
Yeah.
All right. I can see 12th Street way over here.
Okay.
All right. And I knew it was 12th Street because there was the Hotel Darling,
Mhm.
and it had a neon sign. It was flashing. Boop, 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 boop. Now, and I'm a little boy. I see that flashing, and I can look out my back window and see that. All right. Well, 11th Street would be that way.
Mhm.
All right. And 11th Street, the DuPont building's there. But if you're looking west, the Market and 11th is big. Going west, it gets smaller. All right.
So you're looking at everything as a perspective. Everything is a perspective.
I must have gone up there about 5 times
Mhm.
with a yardstick, lining stuff up.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the last time I was up there,
Mhm.
I just stood on the roof and looked. We lived on Hill Street. I
Mhm.
looked south and then I looked north.
Okay.
All right. And I saw how things lined up. All right. Now, Hill Street was here. 12th Street was here. Going up the hill, 11th Street,
Mm-hmm.
12th Street, short 10th Street, the high line for the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured Hill Street comes down, levels off, goes here, 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 and goes out that way to Governor Prince Boulevard.
So
And
putting
after
all that together,
I put it all together,
bird's eye view.
and I never forgot it.
Yeah.
And I started doing that with just about everything.
Yeah. Well, again, it's you know the basis of this show, that perspective. Okay.
That pool room that where the guys gambling.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sit down there and watch them gamble, and all I was interested in was how to do these kind of things.
Mhm.
And all they were doing was throwing dimes in, dimes in, dimes in.
Here we have the Port of Wilmington. Dad, you were a member of the ILA, the Longshoremen's Association, for almost 40 years.
Yeah.
You have vast experiences down here, some of which you brought me on, and I appreciate that. When you first did this painting, I thought, it's the port. Yeah, it's cool. Dad did a painting of the port. And then every time I would go back and look at this painting, something would grow on me. Something would grow on me. And now, pound for pound, this could be one of my favorite paintings you've ever done. The enormity that you captured of the cranes and everything from this perspective is just awesome. And the shapes that you used to do it, like this slice right here, I'm in love with that piece. I love that. I know what it represents, and the fact that it's brought through color and shape is mind-blowing. I keep coming back to this word mind-blowing, but it really is. Again, to see this painting in the beautiful light and represented the way it should be. What inspired you to do this painting?
The light, the sky, the pieces of light that come past the steel. The light there, pieces of light, all of those. This is a painting of the sky.
Sure.
All right.
I know you're not a big fan of sky.
No, there's pieces up in there, all up in there.
Yeah.
Up
Just
in
shapes
there.
everywhere. Shapes
All that.
everywhere.
Oh, pieces like that. Okay. Pieces.
It's incredible. And this was your perspective. You just sat your canvas and easel up on the right there, and
there's no rounds
No.
in this.
No.
These are chisels, squares, rectangles,
They
all
are.
those kind of things.
very
They
entertaining
were
to the eye.
actually there. All right. I just laid them in, and it happened. All back. Look back in there. Pieces of sky.
Yeah.
All right. The light, half lights. little pieces. The whole thing, that's what it's built of.
Yeah. It just shines. It shimmers.
And yeah.
As the
and-
person tasked with having to frame some of these paintings for you, Dad, this one was tough.
And,
I decided to go with the rarest color in there, so I hope I did it some justice.
oh, that, if you made yellow, it would work.
Yeah,
If
well,
you
it
made
was tough.
any color.
It's a beautiful painting, and it wants you to look at it. It asks you just to stay here
But-
for a minute and look at me.
But this piece of machinery was, they take, it looked like big chunks of white rock. All right. It came from Quebec, all right, by ship. They had unloaded and shoot it completely across the yard to a building. They'd crush it up and then make wallboard.
Oh, okay.
Wallboard.
Yeah.
It's like a powder. When you mix it with water, it gets hard.
Yeah.
And they bake it, and that's what they use in building houses.
For me personally, Dad, one of the cool things about this is how this fascination you have with the port and how it works. You've
Yeah.
explained so many things, where juice comes from, how they're making the juice. So when I look at this, I think about all those stories
Yeah.
and experiences that you must have had.
Yeah. See, now, by rights,
Mm-hmm.
I could have held this and run lights that way,
Mm-hmm.
different kinds,
Mm-hmm.
not as bright as this one,
Mm-hmm.
but just to point to this.
Yeah.
Everything is a pointer.
Yeah.
Pointing.
Yeah. Definitely has direction.
There are painters that are trying to do this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like a soup of stuff just thrown in.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mhm.
No planning.
Sure.
Each one of these were planned.
Yeah.
And which one I should make right. All right. Yeah.
Well, it's a fantastic example
Yeah.
of your work and being able to capture that
Yeah.
raw
Yeah.
mechanical engineering. So such a key part of this exhibition.
That's what made me like going to Manayunk,
Mhm.
because you could look up through things.
Yeah.
Wilmington didn't have enough of that.
Mhm. Yeah.
Man, I see stuff like that, I just go to work.
Jewelry box, Dad. This stunning example, still life that you did, one of a series, it's in a series, but this one has always been your favorite. You sit, it's right at home, you have it right in front of you so you can look at it. And you've always referred to it like you learn from it. You are showing a shining example of your work through this, something I feel you're very proud of. Tell us how this happened. How did you capture that color, that juiciness, that can't take my eyes off you?
Well, you heard of Cézanne.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In the back room of the Barnes Foundation, there was a Cézanne painting. And when I was going there with the talks with Violet DeMazia all the time,
Mm-hmm.
she was talking about Cézanne a lot. Everybody was talking about Cézanne. And the one that they had at the Barnes, I liked that painting. I said, my God, how did the guy do that?
Mhm.
And well, it wasn't long after that I had a chance to go to France.
Mm-hmm.
And we wandered through the what's the name of the fair? The big one,
The Louvre?
the Louvre. We
Mhm.
walked through the Louvre,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got so much stuff going on. It'd take 100 years to. But I didn't see too many Cezannes,
Mhm.
but across the track, there's another museum called the Orsay.
Mhm.
I wandered through the Orsay looking at stuff, and then they had a stair up the back past this big clock.
Mhm.
And halfway up, there was a Cezanne, and I cursed out loud. And people, I guess they were French, they didn't know what I was saying. And your mother looked at me like, shh, shh, shh.
Mhm.
Anyway, well, I said, that's a Cezanne. That is a beauty.
Mhm.
I said, when I get back to Wilmington,
Mhm.
I'm going to outdo Cezanne.
Yeah.
All right. And I didn't think I was
Yeah.
going to outdo Cezanne.
Well, you were inspired.
Old Grandpa talked about what Cezanne.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, I came back, and at the studio, this was the scene
Mhm.
that Dad had his students paint.
Yeah.
But they didn't. It was little paintings like this. And I got a big canvas, and I just started it. And I worked all down it. These were plastic fruit. They weren't real.
Mhm.
You get them at the Goodwill.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
And even the stand that it's on was an old wash stand. And everything there was, the cloths were real. And I worked that, it didn't take 2 days or 3 days,
Really.
but I worked on that.
Mhm.
And it was hanging on the studio wall
Mhm.
in the living room. And I came in and I walked past the chair. I didn't know Dad was there sitting in the chair.
Mhm.
And he made a noise. All right.
Mhm.
Like that. And I jumped and turned around. And he was sitting in that chair and he did not move. He said, "That's a beauty. Coming from my father."
I know. That's
He said, "That's a beauty. That's a beauty."
a compliment. Yeah.
I said, "What?" He said, "That's a beauty." He said, "But I don't like what's going on there." And I said, "You don't?" So I got a piece of white pastel and ran a line across there.
Mhm.
And he said, "You don't like that down here?" No. Okay. So I wiped the line off,
Mhm.
and I didn't change it.
Oh, that's your way.
I said, I didn't change it.
Yeah.
I put a piece of light here. See, this is pointing back up.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I did to that painting.
Yeah.
But it's got that Venetian glow.
Yeah. It does.
Yeah.
It has its own light source. I keep looking for a switch back here to turn it
Yeah.
on and off. It's
Yeah.
just incredible.
I was going by this painting for a long while
Mhm.
because it's got rounds. Most of my stuff is.
Yeah.
This has got a lot of rounds, curves and stuff.
Mhm.
And when I was teaching kids at Christina Center and places like that,
Mhm.
I would use fruit, and they would make the fruit. I said, "What part of that fruit has that Venetian glow?"
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
didn't know what I was talking about. I said, "That edge,
Yeah. Well, this teaches you. This
Those
teaches you
edge.
something about Venetian glow.
those edges,
Yeah.
and they're,
Yeah.
where is the light source coming down on this?"
Right. Right.
It's over here somewhere, but Yeah.
It's stunning. It's a kingpin piece of this exhibition. I'm so thrilled we have it.
Yeah.
Self-portrait, Dad. One of 3 that we have featured in this journey of perspective. These images are the most important to me of anything you've ever done.
Mm-hmm.
The three images that you have here, your self-portraits, they each have captured you in a certain way that I know in every muscle and every bone of my body as part of your personality. I learn something from them. I experience that same feeling whenever I see them. So they are treasures to me.
Yeah.
This is the second one you did. This one was very cool. I love the lighting across the face. Again, catching a different mood and perspective, and you in a different time in space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What were you thinking here? What were you thinking when you look into the mirror? Like, that's, I mean, all of these little colors. It's mesmerizing to look at.
Well, when you look in a mirror and you're painting, I don't know how it's done, because sometimes you have to add or subtract from it to get it right. And if the light's not right, you're not going to get, you can't have this side as same as this side. And to do this, I just use this section of it, all right, and then I had to move my head a little bit to see where the other eye was coming in, and I could see it just because of the light I was using, but it wasn't a bright light, you know, and
yeah, just warm enough to light your face.
I knew just where to put the light.
Yeah.
The
I mean, this face is made up of so many different colors.
Yeah.
And you look at it from a distance, it gives the look and feel of a fleshy tone. You know, it really has a true life feel. And as you get closer, you realize that it's broken up into all these. Yeah.
Marilyn wrote about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Marilyn. I mean, that wonderful glow where the face is featured.
And
the face and that nice warm light holding it there. It's beautiful.
I had this beret on, and I changed it a little, and I was so, it reminded me of my father's grandmother.
Okay.
All right. Mom
you
Jen.
Captured something in there that reminded you of Mom Jen.
Yeah, it looked like Mom Jen.
Yeah.
So I took it by Dad's, and he said, "What's that?" And I set it up, and he sat up, and he said, I said, "This is Mom, this looks like Mom Jen." He said, "No, fool, that's you. That's you. That's a beauty. That's the second time," he said, "I did something."
Yeah.
Beauty.
So that's, very, very rare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is gorgeous. This is a focal point as soon as you come into the exhibition. I think it's very fitting. It holds you in a very, that stately manner that I think this painting deserves and what you deserve.
Yeah. Most guys who do a painting of a portrait or something, it's their face and their hand.
Sure.
All right. But that's for corporations, you know.
Right.
So,
Well, this is for museums.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's great, Dad. I love that. It's the first thing that people will see, so they know who the artist is and the man they've come to see, and the talented individual that we're paying tribute to.
Oh.
That's you.
Oh. I just think I did what I said I was going to do, you know, with all those things, the signs and everything. If they asked me to do it, I did it.
Yeah, you sure did.
You know.
And this exhibition is a wonderful representation of that, Dad. I hope you are pleased with the journey and all the different perspectives that we'll be sharing, and I'm really looking forward to everybody enjoying this exhibition.
Yeah, I always wished I had photographs of all the other things, like the houses and
Well, you captured an awful lot.
Huh?
I mean, talented individual, photography. I mean, you captured an awful lot. You captured almost all of my childhood, which I'm so thankful for. And these paintings are just another layer of, just
Yeah,
everything that you mean to me.
yeah. And they said you'll never be the painter your father was. And they never saw all these paintings.
Hey, that's right. And now they will.